The following are properties, original work, creations, and ideas of Kelebogile Sehoa. The ElementRings brand includes, but is not limited to, the ElementRings Pty Ltd company, the ElementRings script, comic book or manga script, characters, movie script, ElementRings merchandise, and Negu brand. All rights claimed and reserved by Kelebogile Sehoa. And welcome back to ElementRings. Here's a quick recap before we continue. Botlale's classmate, who goes by the name of Dikeledi, thinks Botlale could be dead, and that drove Mendy crazy. Charles seems to be connecting to the smaller rock on a deeper level. On the other hand, Mr. Singanga wants to study the rock at a more convenient location. Go check out the audios before this one so you are all caught up. Now let's continue with the story. It was now the second assistant's turn to probe the rock. Her job was to drill the rock. The drilling machine was having a tough time getting through. She then said, "This isn't all I've got." She then pressed the button on the drilling machine, and that increased the speed and the power, and in a few seconds the machine drilled through the rock and it spilled viscous liquid. "Ho ho ho! Look at it bleed," said the lady who drilled. Mr. Singanga saw this and smiled. "What's taking them so long?" he thought to himself. He took out his phone from his pocket and called again. This was literally 2 minutes after he had placed the first phone call. "Nonoza, what's taking you so long? My job awaits me," Mr. Singanga said. The voice of a woman could be heard saying, "A few more minutes, sir," after they hung up. Nonoza increased the speed and they would get there within 3 minutes. She was directed to where the rock was, and when she got there she yelled, "Old man!" Mr. Singanga wasn't pleased. He looked at her and said, "It took you long enough. Back the truck up and get to work. Hurry." Nonoza did as Mr. Singanga instructed. Her work was to load the rock onto the truck. This big truck was an engineering masterpiece. She got help from her colleagues and those who were there before them. When they were done, Nonoza told them, "Step back, boys. I'll handle it from here." She then got into the truck and pressed a few buttons. The truck began adjusting itself to pick up the rock and load it onto the back. Nonoza then began laughing like a mad woman and says, "This is the best truck in the world." As she was saying those words, the truck finished loading the rock onto itself. "All right, old man, I'm done here," said Nonoza. "And you'd better be careful getting back to the department, or else I'll make sure you never drive that truck again," Mr. Singanga said. Nonoza continued laughing and then she left. Mr. Singanga saw how reckless Nonoza was driving and smacked himself in the face. He then looked at his assistants and said, "Girls, pack up your things. We are leaving." The third lady was confused and she asked, "Sir, will I get to do my part?" Mr. Singanga replied, Yes, Slowpoke. Now let's hurry up and go." The group packed their things and followed Nonoza back to the department. Everyone cleared out as well. The lieutenant and the bomb squad commander went to center management to give their final report. Back at center management's office, Captain Fodile of the SAPS said her goodbyes and said, "My lieutenant and the bomb squad commander will give you the report. I'm going back to the office since this wasn't really a criminal case." And then she left. Beard said, "We, on the other hand, didn't find a lot of casualties. To be honest, with the damage the mall took, it's a miracle no one died. You guys are going to need a top-notch company to fix this mess." The woman who was in charge of the mall said, "That's not a problem. Our guy knows his job. Thanks for your help, Beard. We'll call if there's anything else." Beard then left. The woman who was in charge of calling the company that would fix the damage to the mall held a card that has Ntobong Projects written on it. Elsewhere, the ambulance that was carrying Botlhale and Jonathan had just made it to the hospital. The paramedics rushed in with them and they were met by doctors and nurses. Hello, these two were at Manlane Mall. The boy isn't too injured. He is, however, unconscious. As for the man, he keeps going in and out of consciousness. We can't stop it. He does, however, have a few broken bones, but they both should be fine in no time, said one of the paramedics. The doctors and nurses were already aware of what had happened at Manlane Mall, so they quickly attended to Botlhale and Jonathan while taking them to the ICU. As they were being pushed on their stretchers, Jonathan started reacting slightly violently. He was seeing a silhouette in his unconscious state. This causes him to wake up and ask, "Where am I?" One of the doctors replied, "You are at a hospital. You can relax now." Jonathan then holds his head and says, "My head hurts. Who is this boy alongside me?" The doctors looked at each other and replied, "His name is Botlhale Pilafela. He came in with you." Jonathan chuckles and softly says, "Pilafela? That's one weird surname. Tend to him first, please." He then loses consciousness again. The doctors then realize that Jonathan might have lost his memory. One of them thinks, "We promise to help the both of you to the best of our abilities." When they arrived at the ICU, Botlhale and Jonathan were given injections to help with the pain. A few minutes later, Botlhale woke up thanks to being injected and asked, "Where am I?" The nurse answered and said, "Relax, you are at a hospital." Botlhale's mind raced as he tried to remember what happened. The first thing that came to mind was his ring. Wasn't I holding a package when I came in?" he asked one of the nurses. One of them hinted with her eyes and Botlhale looked to the right and saw his package. He was relieved and said, "Thank you so much." Their families arrived at the hospital and went rushing in to find out the fate of their loved ones. As they were running, Khalifang thought, "My brother is a beloved member of our family. He is the glue that holds us together. I hope you pull through, big bro." Zakes, Matlogonolo Rakadi, and their children then enter the hospital. And that's the end of the 29th release. As you all heard, Mr. Senganga was very impatient while communicating with the truck lady Nonoza. Nonoza seemed to love her job and it delighted her. Botlhale and Jonathan finally got to the hospital, but it seems Jonathan has a case of mild amnesia. Stay tuned to the story to find out more. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for the support, and bye for now.